Good morning, church. It's good to be with you today. And today we are going to look in Second Corinthians a little bit. Before we do that, I do just want to touch base briefly on Judges. Our reading today involves a case of human sacrifice, which is something that God abhors. And this leader of that community, Jephthah, he was going to go out and fight this battle. And he said, God, if you give me victory, I will just give you whoever walks out of my front door. And God gives him the victory still. And he follows through. And it's just this presented as facts. And the Old Testament often does not give us a morality judgment on things. It just presents things as facts. But we know for sure that God is not pleased with the human sacrifice. It's not anything he ever commanded. It's not something he wants us to do. He did want to give victory to the Israelites because they were pursuing him. But we're reminded over and over again in Scripture not to make rash vows to the Lord. Don't say things that you don't intend to fulfill. And this leader, he intended to fulfill it, and he did. And it's just this victory marred by deep tragedy because of what this rash vow that was made. But the takeaway there is that God will hold us accountable to the things that we say, foolish, unwise, or whatever. So just be careful what you tell God you will do, because he takes us seriously. Jesus tells us not to make an oath at all, because how can we swear by God? He's so far above us. And how can we swear even by ourselves? We can't even control the color of our hair. And so don't make rash vows. Don't make vows at all, really. But rather, Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And we can trust God to help us and sustain us. I want to read out of 2 Corinthians. He says in verse 8, we don't want you to be unaware, brothers and sisters, of our affliction that took place in Asia. We were completely overwhelmed beyond our strength, so that we even despaired of life itself. Indeed, we felt that we had received the sentence of death, so that we would not trust in ourselves, but in God who raises the dead. Affliction drives us into trust. James says, count it all joy, brethren, when you encounter trials. And so, whatever is happening in your life right now, we go back to Jephthah. Don't make a rash vow, but rather trust in the Lord and walk with him, knowing that the suffering that produces endurance, produces hope, produces, our love of God. That's how Peter walks through it. So we're still have the taste of Easter on our lips. We remember the hope of that resurrection, and we remember that at the end of all things, God will be victorious, and this hope will lead us through. So hold on to that hope, church, and I look forward to talking to you soon again.